everybody. It's Wednesday, November 4th, and I read this passage this morning and it struck me. I don't know how I never noticed it before, but it really kind of struck me this morning, maybe because I haven't been feeling great the last couple of days. But in Psalm 39:4, David writes, "Lord, make me to know my end, and what is the extent of my days. Let me know how transient I am. Behold, you have made my days as handbreadths, and my lifetime as nothing in your sight. Surely every man at his best is a mere breath. Surely every man walks about as a phantom. Surely they make an uproar for nothing. He amasses riches and does not know who will gather them." That phrase in verse 4, "Lord, make me know my end," is what really struck me in this morning as I read it. And I think it's good for us to recognize that God does this for us. He helps us recognize our end, and he helps us know how transient we are. I think there's a few ways in which he does this. I think one of them, as I mentioned, is getting sick. I've been sick the last couple of days. Maybe you can hear it in my voice. When you're sick, and especially in these days of a global pandemic and things like that, you start to think, "Oh, is this it? Is this my time?" And we get a little worried about those things. And I think it's gracious of God to allow us to get sick. It is his mercy that reminds us how transient we are and makes us know our end. And so I'm reminded of that, and I appreciate the fact that God is humbling me to remind me that I'm not sustaining my own life, and it's only his mercy and grace that extend my life. He has numbered my days. He knows how long I will live, and I can trust him with that. I think another way, though, is people dying. In the last week, Krista and I have found out about multiple people between the ages of our children and our parents who have died. One was a parent of someone in my youth group when I was in Wisconsin. Another one was a young man, a seminary student, that who just passed away suddenly. A young woman about my age passed away of COVID. I have a very good friend who's very sick in the hospital, who may or may not have COVID. They're not sure. He tested negative. But you think about all these things. You think about people dying. We're also aware of a 12-year-old girl who has cancer and is dying. And that's a reminder when people die, especially people that are close to our age, especially people who aren't, old and we expect them to die maybe. Those people dying reminds us that we are transient and that we have an end, that we don't live forever. It's again humbling for us. And then I think there's another way that we feel that God makes us know our end, and that's the passage of time. You ever felt like when you look in the mirror, you see those gray hairs and you're like, I'm getting old? Or you watch your children growing up. I mean, Tyler just got his license and is a junior in high school this year. It's significant that I'm feeling older. I'm glad we have Jace around to help us feel young. But it's that passage of time makes you feel old. It makes you feel like my life is transient. It's going quickly. It sort of reminds you that your days are as handbreadths, and at our very best, we are a mere breath. And it reminds us what he talks about in verse 6. He says he amasses riches and does not know who will gather them. It's like we run around in vain trying to get all this stuff, and we don't even know what's going to happen with it. If we're reminded of the shortness of our life and the fact that our lives are transient, that we have an end coming, it ought to motivate us to use the moments that we have for God's glory. May we not waste the moments of our lives. May we not sit around whining about the way the world is. May we be actively pursuing changing the world, and changing the world not by just like being a social activist, but by telling others the gospel. May we be faithful in investing in the lives of others in our churches. May we be discipling our children and loving others. This is what it means to use our lives, to redeem the time, as Paul writes in Ephesians. And so let me encourage you. use the moments that you have. God is reminding you of how transient you are and that you have an end. Don't waste your life.